Ooh, welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have another repeat guest on the show, and this one is one of my favorites. I have Trixy Valentine on the show, and she is, of course, a drag queen superstar, author of Tipping is a Must, also author of Leave It on the Counter, the founder and CEO of MX Kelley's Queer Education LLC. And of course, you were also on the weakest link with your twin. So
Yes,
the
yes,
jack of all
yes, I
trades. How you doing, Trixie?
thank you, thank you, thank you. So good to see you. Good to be back. I dressed up, hopefully, as like what we would call like the first girl. If I was ever in a horror movie, I would definitely want to be the
Nice.
first.
Awesome, awesome. So I guess I have this question for later in the interview, but I think, and by the way, if anybody's when everybody's watching this, just to let you know, I have a cat that's probably going to be jumping up and around. This is my first interview with the kitten in the household. So and he loves laptops. So I was gonna save this question for later on. But now that you mentioned it about, if you were ever, in a horror movie and that. So would you ever did you ever think about trying out for like Dragula?
Have I thought about it? Yes. Would I do good at it? I don't know because I'm not a scream queen type of drag queen. I mean,
Mhm.
so it's interesting because I was just like, if I think about the makeup and what it took, could I do it? Yes. I love horror icons. There's like the glam part of Dracula that I would slay. The filth part, it's not that I couldn't. I would really have to push my own boundaries, but that's the point of the show, right? Like, so
Yeah.
could I do it? Yes. Is that my brand? No.
Absolutely. I love watching Dragula. I watch it every year when it comes out. It comes out around Halloween, October-ish, and absolutely love that show and some of the costumes and dress it, it's all amazing. Like it really is. They really do a good job and it's such a talent, such an art and I wouldn't be able to do it because I'm not really an artistic type of person in that form of the arts. I'm not a design art. I'm like a writer, a filmmaker, that type of art. But that's why what makes me appreciate, drag queens so much more because it is a skill set that not everybody can possess.
Yeah, and then those who think they possess it might need just a little bit more practice.
Absolutely, absolutely. It doesn't happen overnight. So regarding you wrote two books. So I guess let's talk about the books. What is Tipping is a Must about and what is Leave It on the Counter about?
So Tipping is a Must is a book that I wrote because I got tired of answering all those questions that are like, what do we do at drag shows? Can I take selfies while you're performing? Or I have performers like, how do I get booked? Because I've been in the game for over 10 years, almost over 11 years now.
Mhm,
And so many people are like, you're booked and blessed. I was like, well, it's 11 years of work.
mhm.
I would feel weird if I wasn't being booked right now and if I wasn't being out there. But there's a lot of etiquette. Like a lot of people think drag is all about looking, pretty, gorgeous, glam, horror, whatever it might be. But it really it's the professionalism. It's knowing
Mhm.
like when you're booked, you know what to do, the etiquette behind the scenes, backstage, working with other people. Because there are a lot of people you're gonna work with. You're like, I don't like this person, but you still have to work with them. And that
Mhm.
book really gives those tips of like,
Yeah,
these are tips you have to keep in mind. This is how you grow, this is how you excel.
yeah.
When it comes to Leave It on the Counter, I'm excited. I released that this year. It's
Nice.
a 60-day journal that you answer a question, one question a day, and it's supposed to guide you to push yourself to find where your authenticity is, but also where you're holding back from.
Yeah.
Because it asks some deep questions that you're like, I never thought about this before. And by the end of the 60 days, there's a specific question in there, and I'll just say it, it's like, how do you define authenticity? And how you answer it the first day is not the same you're going to answer it on
Okay.
day 60, because that book is supposed to push you to think about yourself that you might not have ever thought about before, or give yourself the permission to be the main character.
Right, absolutely. And that's the thing also where you mentioned, hold on. Where you mentioned about, oh my God, he's on the mouse now. He's into everything. Little kitten, 4 months old.
So cute.
Um so where you mentioned about working with people that you might not like, but you still got to work with them. And that's really every day because there's people at the job that you don't really like to work with, but you have to be professional. You got to work with them. And that's really in all trades. And it must be harder in a competition type show with drag because you have the egos. Some people have higher egos than others, and you have people that want to win. They think they're better than others, and you're like, really, girl, please, like really.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So Dragon itself already has a competitive nature
Yeah.
to it. We have pageants, we have systems, and then when you apply a camera to it, you're gonna see the sides of people because they want to be on camera, while at the same time, something else happens to individuals. Actually, sometimes the opposite can happen. They can just shut down and be like, I actually don't like this. Well,
Mhm.
also on the other end, they might be like, oh, I'm going to give you a show to watch. And we know that can happen even if it's not on mainstream TV. If we take like
Mhm.
TikTok, or how videos have become such a part of pop culture and everyday living of
Mhm.
everyone's filming all the time. We always have cameras all around. So people hopefully don't lose that authenticity or genuineness,
Yeah.
because who I am on and off camera is the same person. Like it doesn't
Right.
change. Now, who I am on and out of a wig, that's a different story.
Absolutely, absolutely. And regarding that, because that was another one of my kind of like similar related questions. You mentioned with drags, there's pageants and all that stuff. And I know you do a lot of organization of different types of events. You do drag bingo, and there's all different types of drag you do, which is actually really amazing. Like, I love the different types of way you incorporate drag into everyday activities, and that's
Yeah.
really a cool thing. So. I guess this is a two-part question. So, what is the hardest and most stressful part in organizing an event like that? And how do you go about the organization for such a big event for a community to bring everybody together?
Oh, such a great question. So I do drag shows, pride events, bingos, trivia. I even now do workshops. I've done community workshops in drag
Mhm.
to also teach and make it fun and living. I do keynote speaking. And every single event's a little bit different, but when we specifically look at how do we put on a large scale event, which for rural towns, that can be anywhere from like 150 to 300. I think the most I've ever put on, since it is a pride event, is a few thousand.
Mhm.
And it's what I will say, it is not just one person. You need team, you need people you can
Mhm.
trust, you need people you can connect and network with. But what I will say is the biggest challenge I have is always the pushback. It is
Mhm.
always, always, always the pushback, because where I'm putting on drag is not in a big city. There's like a lack of resources, there's a lack of acceptance, and then in today's climates there's even a harder pushback of what we people like, oh, this is a woke mindset and you can't be in front of children. I was like, honey, I don't want to be in front of children, so stop telling me I need to be. But
Right.
and so, but when it comes to pride events or these large scale events, the biggest challenge definitely is the hate that's out there, because you
Uh-huh.
have to learn how to navigate both. It's an equal balance, I've learned, of like, we need to make sure we're doing everything fair within advocacy, within education and awareness and justice, while at the same time we don't have to please haters, but we also
Mhm.
can't be like, you can't come, because I've known enough haters who learned how to be fans, because
Right.
they're like, oh, this is what it is. Yeah, because most people who are haters are just ignorant. They don't
Yeah.
know. They're uneducated. So I definitely take time to be like, hey, instead of spouting some hate, why don't you come learn something? Now that it's not a golden type of thing. Some people are like, they're still going to have their signs. They're going to stand all the way on the other side. But we gave them
Mhm.
a spot. I say, give protesters and haters a spot at your event to let them know, like, hey, you can come. You have to stand here though, but you can come. Enjoy.
Right.
And there's a lot of logistics that can go around, but that would be to me the biggest challenge. The organization's easy. It's skills. It's social event planning,
Yeah.
knowing who to contact, knowing who to work with. Funding. Do you get enough people to pay for it? Right. So that's
Hmm.
all the logistical stuff. I, I can't. It's like, if you ever planned a birthday party for yourself,
Right.
think of that, of inviting not just the friends you love, but the friends you're like, I guess, to be nice. that's what you're doing. Hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're from the generalized area. We're not from the same town, but not far from each other from where I mean I live in Baltimore now, but I mean, Northeast PA. And it's generally not sorry about this cat. Oh my gosh. And and yeah, it's not really, there's more hate than there is acceptance for the community. There really is. And it's a shame because we're in 2025 and it's like we're still stuck in the 90s or the 80s and so on and so forth. And it's ridiculous. And I do have a question regarding that as well, and we will get into that. But I do want to get to this before we get too off topic because I know a lot you do. I don't now correct me if I'm wrong, but you do a lot of your events, not events per se, but like your seminars and your workshops under the MX Kelley Queer Education LLC banner. So what can
Yes.
you tell us about your LLC and what you actually do? Like what do you educate for?
Yes, I love this question because there's a lot of interpretation and way people think it's mixed Cali Queer Education. It's
Okay.
a training and consulting organization that specializes in queer inclusive sex education,
Okay.
and there's plenty of things I do in and out of drag. But since I'm in drag today, what I do in drag. I go predominantly to universities, or I can't even say just universities. I've gone to conferences, workplace gatherings, grand openings, like you name it, I'm pretty sure I've done it. And in some of these, I get hired to be an entertainer. So, but the entertainment comes with a piece of education
Okay.
because I don't just go and be like, let's do a number. I also go and I play humor at different things. So when I think of like when I go to universities, I also have to provide them sex education. And I'm
Right.
not just going to be like, this is what this is what this is, and it's boring. I actually have plushies that I bring with me, and we start throwing them at each other, like
Nice.
playfully, consentfully, nicely. And then, I sit there and go, all right, y'all, I know we all beat in our faces right now, which is it's a term for drag to doing makeup,
Yeah.
but I'm translating those terms into this educational moment of these plushies, and they're like all laughing and having fun, and
Yeah.
then they're like, I go, okay, read the tag on the plushie, and someone's like, oh my god, this is chlamydia. You will all throw chlamydia at each other and not even knowing. What about you? And like gonorrhea, and syphilis, and HIV, and
That's
herpes.
hilarious.
And all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? And I was like, y'all will pass around STDs like it was nothing, like it was fine. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
real. And I'm like, how times do you do this out in the real world? This is a plushie's nose. What do we call
That's a
this?
really, really good,
Yeah.
because you don't think about it when you're sleeping with this person. Is say you meet somebody on Grinder and you hook up with that person. They say they don't have HIV. They say they don't have any STDs, but do you really know? You don't know that person. So you are willingly just going to take their word for it and go and sleep with them. And now you risk getting any type of STD without, the precautions.
Mm-hmm. And so that is a fun way where I do dress and drag. It's the part of the shtick. It's just steel, and then there's elements of how I educate that's in there. And I also do a lot of queer history. I've
Mhm.
done a lot of queer history, more than just Stonewall, right? The one timeline I just did talked about the stuff that only happened in 1990s and 2000, and in
Wow.
those 2 decades alone, people are like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Or someone was like, I wasn't even born yet, right? And they're
Wow.
like, I didn't even know. It's like when we think about the sodomy laws that happened, those ended in 2003.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago. Like that wasn't that long ago. And then this year was the celebration of our 10 years of federally for same-sex marriage or marriage equality.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that was only 10 years ago when all
I was
states
just gonna say that's just crazy. Like 10 years, that's all we had the equal rights
were.
for. That's
Yeah.
insanity.
And so when I talk about these topics and we do these, we some of it's discussion, a lot of it is lecture. It's very much like I like when we talk about flags, I hand everyone these papers and like figure out what these flags are, but you can't use your cell phone,
Wow.
right? Because I want them to learn like not all knowledge is at the focal point or at your fingertips, right? Like
Right.
why is it important to actually know this information instead of saying, oh, I can look it up, right?
Right. Yeah.
And in these moments, that's what my platform does. That is what my business does. That is what makes
Nice.
Kelly for Education does. And then, I get into formal trainings, right? When I'm not in drag. I go and do 1 day, 2 day events, depending on what they are, and they bring skills. Just depends on the environment. When I think of the health system, right, and I go into a medical field, I'm teaching nurses and doctors like this is how you
Mhm.
take care of patients without making it awkward, with making it a little bit safer, with actually getting someone to trust you with the service that you're providing.
Absolutely. That's great. And I don't know if you ever thought about this, but you are very, I mean, I know you personally. I know you more than just Trixie Valentine, obviously. So I mean, I know how knowledgeable you are and how hard you worked, not just learning the material, but also educating yourself through,
Mm.
education and, university and, professionally and all that stuff. So, have you ever decided to write a book on the history and educating people of the LGBTQIA plus community?
Have I thought of it? Yes, but does it exist? Also, yes. There's different variations
Yeah.
of it. I think for me though, I what I want to write to people about, I have a separate book I'm writing about, which is
Mhm.
about queer dating violence specifically,
Okay.
because I don't think that's an area that's talked enough about. And then the other is going to stem from my dissertation, since I'm 1 year left of my dissertation, and
Nice.
then y'all will be calling me Dr. Valentine,
That's great.
which is on gender development from a non-binary perspective. And so there's a lot of like, you don't exist, it's not there. But I just did my research. I interviewed 18 different people who fall in these categories of gender identity. And it's a phenomenon to understand. And it's also a narrative to understand. Like, if listening to these people's stories and experience, I'm like, there is a connection here that we don't talk enough about.
Yeah.
And but we when you follow the right people, you know the stories. But when we talk about the general population,
Yeah.
we ignore it. And I think a lot of people really connect to stories.
Yep.
We see it in movies, we see it in just traditional cultures of fairy tales and folklores.
Yep.
And so if I ever wanted to write something, I would want to share those stories, because I think it
Absolutely.
really helps people learn more, other than like what we call statistical data or quantitative data.
Absolutely. And oh my God, PTSD. PTSD.
Yeah.
For those that don't know,
Sorry,
I
sorry.
know I just got my master's and I wrote a 549-page master's dissertation on AI programming technology and if it's appropriate to basically does prompt wording affect how AI outputs web application development with JavaScript front end technologies I needed the quantitative data, and it was it's like PTSD. I hated that part of it, but I mean, it was a year long project. But and it was like two different classes. I had research methodologies in informatics, and then I had the graduate capstone seminar and dissertation class. And
Mm,
oh my God, it was like so much. And I mean, I commend you because I know what you're going through, and you're going through it at a whole different level, different subject, but a whole different level because you're doing it for your doctorate.
yeah.
Oh, I can only imagine. But yeah, I mean, best of luck. Congratulations in advance as well, because you deserve it. You work hard for it. I mean, it isn't easy. I know.
I have yet to know what it's like to not be in school.
Yeah, and then I'm looking, and then here I am one night, can't sleep, and I'm looking. You know what? When you're up and you just think of like crazy things out of nowhere, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get my doctorate degree, and I want to go for my doctorate. And I start looking up colleges, and I send emails, and then I fall asleep. I wake up in the morning, I get an email back. I'm like, when did that happen? Oh, I don't think I want to get my doctorate right now. I want to enjoy not being in school for the time
Yes.
being.
soak soak in you time, soak in the time you don't have to study or worry that something is due, because that is,
Yeah.
I'm over it. I mean, I don't. If someone were to ask me now, should I get it? My answer is no, don't do it. But wait till I get it and then say if it's good enough.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
like that.
Yep, that's what my professor said in my last class. He said it's going to be a lot of work, a lot of writing, a lot of researching. We need a 50 scholarly journal article research like references just for the
I have
paper. It was
a
crazy.
182 references.
I had over 100 too, but our minimum was 50. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Like my
it's
my re- my references alone were like I think like maybe 13 or 14
yeah,
pages. It was
yeah,
insane.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and he said, but when you get that degree.
Ah,
It's gonna feel so much better. I have my degree over there, framed and everything, and I'm
mhm,
so
mhm.
happy with it. I love it. And he was right. It was worth it. Get down, buddy. Yeah, it was worth it, beyond belief. But you do work for it. You do earn it. Like it's not just handed to you. Like
Yeah,
you do
yeah.
work. So going into a more, serious nature of topic. This is where when you were talking about the hate regarding, event organization too. So as we know, there are a lot of, hate in the community, and you provide advocacy for that, obviously. So, um, what is, I guess, how do I just say this? How do you go about that with people's personal feelings and beliefs? Is there a specific way you approach that when they come at you, saying, at an event, or even when you're just on the street and drag or whatever?
So if it's a slick comment, that I'm just like walking down the street, when I tell you, I just ignore it because the background characters and the extras will always shout in the back. And
Hmm.
as a person who will always be the main character, or at least the supporting role, I have no time to pay attention to whoever's in
Hmm.
that background. Just because I know I'm giving them something to look at. Why would you not want to look at this? And that is a sign that some people are like, oh, you're just arrogant and cocky. I was like, no, I just don't want to acknowledge that negativity. Like
Hmm.
that is not filling my cup, therefore I'm not going to give it attention. However, when I am confronted where someone does say something, I've had a few times where people actually like they come straight up. They're like in front of you.
Hmm.
They are saying something, and you have to address it. In those situations, I honestly question people. So, and you don't have to question them at the point of like you. I have a like when you question people, it makes them sound even worse because you go, "Oh, why do you hate me?" Well, I never said I hated you. Oh, well, your comment kind of sounded like you were into it. What's going on? And you just start questioning their whole life. I think that is one of the best things
Hmm.
for someone because all of a sudden you're making it all about them when they
Hmm.
wanted to make it about you. And
Very
it's
good
like,
advice.
nope, we're going to turn that right back around. Like, let's talk about you. But like, I don't have to ask, where you grew up, where you think I go, oh, why do you think that? And you think that's okay. So you think shouting across the street at me hateful things is appropriate, right? Because you have to lean in and give them the real perspective
Hmm.
of what's happening. Because my goal in life is I'm not here to change the minds of people. I don't care if you accept me or not. What I do is you will respect me and I will demand
Hmm.
respect.
Yeah.
That is the key to this success is you can tolerate me. I would love you to accept me. I would love you to even get a further step and understand me. But if at anything, you will respect me and who I am and the people that are around me because
Right.
in the same way that person could be doing something I don't like and I'm like when you want to act homophobic transphobic I'm like ooh ill I don't like that but I'm going to make sure when I address it respectfully and the same
Right.
thing happens and so
Right.
that's a bigger shoe to fill because not everyone can do that and everyone gets in their emotions and they want to
Mhm.
attack and go for it. I was just like one of the best things if you can't do that is I tell people is I'll question them on their education around it and being thankful of my own education that has allowed me to call people into conversations or call them out right like I am a big person. I was like, honestly, call them out if you need to. I have embarrassed people on the mic because I'll never forget
Yeah.
somebody said something slick, but then they were in the show. They were in the audience of the show
Mhm.
because their wife brought them, their friend brought them. And I go, oh, and I use descriptors, the man with the plaid blue shirt and the backwards black hat and rib. Didn't you have
Mhm.
something to say? Then the whole room just says, they all look
Wow.
right? And you call them out. And then that's power as a host
Mhm.
and an entertainer. Then all of a sudden they can carry on and stuff. But guess what? You now have content as I wouldn't consider myself a stand-up comedian by far. I'm not into that trade, even though I would say I'm a little funny and witty. But that is a good moment to be like anyone knows who has to host
Mhm.
or command a room. You now have a point person to be like, oh,
Yep.
you now just became the butt of everyone's joke. You are the
Mhm.
topic piece at a Thanksgiving dinner right now. Would you look at
Nice.
that?
Nice. Absolutely. And that's the thing, like, and even going back to the respect, if you don't respect me or what I stand for, then walk away. Don't say anything. Leave your ignorance and your disrespect for me, to yourself or to your friends, but don't let me hear about it. Because when you come and disrespect me, becoming now it's where I have to get involved and defend myself to whatever way I choose. Like, going back to, I like the question aspect of things. I'm the type of
Mhm.
person that I have a very short fuse. And I like that question. I'm gonna start using that more because that is a good way, because that you're gonna, because when you start yelling and attacking them, that's what they want. That's giving them the power. But
Yeah.
when you do the question, you're now making them the bad person. You're making them feel like question. Wait, whoa, I don't hate you. I never said I hated you. But your comment basically is hate, isn't it?
Even if it's why do you think on this good day you can come say what you can to me?
Hmm.
Asking someone even that, they were like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm minding my own business and you're over here trying to get into it. Why? Is there
Yeah.
something here you like?
Love it. Love it. I absolutely love it. So regarding back to that, so like obviously when promoting like obviously when you host like say a pride parade, I know you had a couple of pride parades that you were hosting this year, and you have a pride parade, and do you get anybody that like pickets or riots or comes out, and I'm sure you do because look on your face says it all. But how do you handle the protesters, because obviously that is their constitutional right as well,
Yeah.
but that could also affect how do you not let the two clash?
So this year I was the grand marshal for the state
Mhm.
college pride in Pennsylvania.
Saw the pictures,
Which
by
I
the way. Loved them.
yes, I'm so good. I my favorite part was at the so I'm leading the parade. I'm going up. I'm at the
Hmm.
very end is where we get off, and these people with all kinds of signs are there. They are in their microphones. They're doing it, and a lot of people were like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I said, "Hold up. Why are we sorry?" And everyone's like, "What?" I said, "We now." Excuse me, we now have a photo opportunity. So I was like, all right, everyone gather around, and we're in front of it, and we all look happy while
Hmm.
everyone looked angry behind us. And I was
Wow.
like, God, that's sorry, I don't know if I can say that word on here.
No,
That
you're
is
fine.
everything. That is hot. Because I was like,
Yeah.
all right, because I was like, what it's giving is we look happy and they mad that we happy.
Yeah.
How awesome is that? So I sit here because they ain't gonna touch us. There is security around, make sure you're all prides and stuff has security to make sure. But we're not in their space either. They're just behind us. I said, everyone get
Hmm.
their photos. And all of a sudden, now their faces and signs are in our photos. So if someone wants to go out them and go, oh, I know Bill's over here and he's over here doing this. Because what people don't understand is we can use leverage by just being joyful and being happy.
Hmm.
Give it a photo opportunity. If that doesn't work, honestly, one of the best things I saw was people had huge pride flags, like
Hmm.
huge, big, and they actually hung them up on two different poles and two on each side and made a wall. So all we did, we heard this hate, but we couldn't see anything because they were behind it. And I
Right.
thought that was everything because as that group moved, so did that flag.
Hmm.
And so it was just like
Nice.
diffusing the scene right there, which reminded me of the angel wings that were used for when Matthew Shepard had passed and all the protesters came out in Wyoming and people had those huge angel wings
Yeah.
because they made a wall specifically on the hate. I mean, that is to me a true form of activism when we are using our I did it actually. I had this big wig on. I had this good look.
Mhm.
And this person kept walking by where people were speaking and says, "Oh, I don't have to be on the mic right now. Hold this." Someone else is on, and I was just walking right in front of them. And they go, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm strutting with this man right now, but they're going to see me
Mhm.
over him because I'm too grand for them. Anyone see him."
Right.
And so yeah. Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah, and what one of the best things about the photo op situation when you have the protesters looking angry is the shame that they're gonna feel when that leaks, whether it's on social media or actual physical newspapers and whatnot, and their families, their friends, their employers and coworkers, they see that. That makes that then how that just to me that would be so embarrassing. I don't know if
Oh,
I, I wouldn't want to show my face. I wouldn't know what to say. Whew.
nope. I honestly, I have heard stories where people have lost jobs where
I was
they
just
don't
gonna
speak
say that,
to their
yeah.
family. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and people like, do you feel bad? It's like, no, what do you feel bad for? What, for taking a selfie or a photo with people joyful? Why should I feel bad for someone else's ignorance?
Exactly. Exactly. And there's a lot of hate in the world. A lot of hate in the world, especially with, and I don't want to go really into politics, but but with the political stance that's going on, I mean, there's just so much hate in the world now. And we need to shed the love. And it's not just love for the LGBTQIA plus community. It's people of all races, people of all disabilities, all walks of life. Like everybody deserves love. And I always wondered, and I mean, it's just such a simple thing. Why can't we all just get along? It's that simple. If you don't like somebody for whatever reason, just go on your own way and live your life. Why do we all have to hate each other? Because what does it matter to Tom if I'm sleeping with a man? What does it matter to Tom if I decide to to become male to female or female to male? It doesn't affect their life. I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't affect them if whatever, like it just doesn't. Why is it so much hate? Why can't we just, it's just that simple. Why can't we all just like each other, get along, love each other? Because I guarantee you Tom probably has more in common with the person that's male to female or female to male than he might with his own sibling.
Yeah, yeah. And also check people's web browsers.
Yeah,
hmm Uh,
absolutely. Absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
yes, yes, you absolutely right. Because the biggest thing I tell people is the issue isn't the fact that people don't like me or hate me. That to me is never an issue. It's the fact that they allow that hate and negativity to then control my life,
Yeah,
right, and control our lives, right? Because it's one of the things I tell people. I was like, if you're not into it, it's not harming anyone, then it's not for you.
right.
And because it's not for you doesn't mean it can't be for others. So
Right.
why are you making it about you when you're not even in the equation? Like A plus B equals C, and you're trying to add a
Mhm.
D in there, and ain't nobody
Yes.
want a bad D.
Absolutely. And the thing is that I forgot where I was going with that now, but it happens. Being a podcast host, it happens. You're a podcaster yourself, so
Mhm,
it
mhm.
happens. And I mean, yeah, it's just I just don't understand the hate. And I mean, oh, that's where I was going with it, with the web browser thing. Like, that was funny because some people are stupid enough to actually use their work web browsers.
Uh, yeah.
That just makes me like, really, like you have to actually use your employer's web browser, like you do know those are most likely monitored.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. So and speaking of your podcast, that was one of my last questions before we start promoting some stuff. Was tell everybody about your podcast. Where can they find it? The name, what is it about?
So, it's yes. So, I'm assuming we're talking about the Says Me podcast, which is
Yes.
I'm a co-host of, and
Right.
I absolutely love the person. I am very thankful I got to collaborate with this person and call them a really good friend now, forever and always. Dante Elizabeth James,
Hmm.
who founded and put together the Says Me podcast, and when
Yeah.
he asked me, he goes, "Do you want to be a co-host?" I was like, "Yes." And
Nice.
when I say we talk about everything and all the things, uh we it's very pop culture reference, while also at the same time we talk about the things in our lives that help us grow. And a lot of, like, sometimes we talk about one, or we talk about grief for an episode, but we talk about how as like real people we get over
Mhm.
grief, right, and how we actually have to be human first. And this podcast both gives that silly, quirky, funny things, and sometimes we get serious. We have fans that call us in sometimes and tell us the wildest stories. I love a story that goes, "Am I the asshole?" So people will call in and tell us, and we're like, "Yes," or "No, this the other person was." And I
Mhm.
love those stories. I love listening to them. So the podcast Says Me podcast is something that anyone can listen to. I always tell people it's the best podcast to listen to on your way to work or going to an event, because you feel like you're in the room with us. You feel like you're talking with us. And so the podcast host is Dante Elizabeth James. To be a co-host of that, I'm blessed.
Mhm.
And we have I know we're not promoting it, but we are. We have our live episode on August 3rd
I
in
was gonna
10.
ask about that. That was my next question because I got Clue vibes from that picture.
I absolutely love this group of friends and all of us together. We have Dante, Elizabeth, James, JB, Danny, Bree, Ari, and the drive-in, and then of course there's myself. I'm juicy outside of all of this, and I'm
Nice.
juicy outside of all this. But we love doing things together, and so we come up with skits and themes. And so we
Mhm.
did a Clue theme once, and everyone ate it up, and that's where people got to see our personalities. The live show, when I say you will enjoy it, it's gonna you're gonna hear us talk about some of these hot topics. We have some engagement things that we're gonna do with the audience, so I hope the audience comes ready. And also, a lot of people call in. We have about anywhere from 10 to 15 voicemails a week that we don't
Nice.
get through all of them, where people just ask us questions or tell us stories. And this is a chance where those people who built relationships with us virtually, some in person, can actually come now and meet us and talk to us and ask those questions they don't want to call in or write in, but also each one of us, they connect to us in some way. A lot of people connect me because I'm an educator, I'm pretty, and I'm an entertainer. A lot of people connect with Dante because he's funny, hilarious, and he has his own stories around like sobriety. And each of us have this own connection.
Mhm.
So it really will become a time where people will see us in the flat. We're real. We're real people, and
Right.
it'll be funny. It'll be serious. I'm sure I'll be the one that ends up crying because I'll be so happy. And it'll just be good. It'll
Nothing
be really
wrong with
good.
crying.
I always tell people, don't be afraid to feel.
Yep, absolutely. When you said August 3rd is the live event, how can is it sold out or how can people get tickets? Where is it located?
Yes, so it's at the Dietrich Theater in Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania. It the VIP did sell out, so we have a VIP meet and greet that did sell out. So unfortunately, but general admission is still selling. It's still there.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer,
Right.
but it's there. And August 3rd from 5 to 6:30 is
Okay.
when it. So we have people driving or coming in. I think the farthest one is 14 hours away.
Oh, wow.
I was just like, damn. And we have a lot of people from Maryland. We have some
Nice.
people from Connecticut, Massachusetts are coming. They're
Nice.
driving, some of these people, and I was just like, I'm excited. I can't wait. I can't wait
That
to.
is a lot of fun. That is really exciting. So you said the one of the co-hosts is Dante.
Dante Elizabeth James is the host. Yes,
Okay, awesome.
he's the one that runs all of it behind the
Nice.
scenes. I mean, I'm his right hand of when I'm like I have to do paperwork. I'll just do it. I
Nice,
got it.
nice.
You said
There's
because there's a few things I was like I can't always do it, so he does it. But I was like, if you send it to me, I can get it done on a Wednesday night. So
nice.
I'm the admin paper pusher. That's me behind the scenes. But
I always love the paper stuff. I have a funny story with my production company, Gravestone Films. Every time the first day on set, and I pull in and I walk up the sidewalk, have my clipboard, have my folders. Everybody's like, "Oh no, here comes Scotty with all the contracts for us to sell our souls." And everybody has a joke on set, especially our resident killer, our clown killer, Brett Harris. He always has that joke about gee Scotty, you have me signing like my life away with 30 pages of contracts. So
yeah,
everybody
I
has
mean,
that joke. Nothing wrong with that. And then I have to file them away, and I don't like filing it. I don't like having to sign, but it's for my benefit. It protects my butt. I'm sure it protects
oh
yours.
yeah. I mean, so it's interesting because Dante thinks of the creativity and putting everything together in conversations because Dante has over 1 million followers on all of social media
Wow.
platforms combined. And got well known in the sense of all of the things that he does fall in love with. And so like we did a calendar, me and him, this past December. We made one for this year.
Mhm.
And we dressed the same and we did like these awkward 90 JC Penney's photos.
Nice.
But I loved that project because actually when we sold those calendars, we raised money for the Trevor Project.
Mhm.
So it wasn't just thinking about us, but we also were giving back to the community.
That's awesome.
And he does all of these amazing, talented, creative ideas. is.
Mhm.
And my biggest thing is like, okay, I just want to make sure like we don't get sued, or like I just want to make sure
Right.
like this is gonna be going well and like we understand what this is flowing through. So I'm like I always tell people, if anyone knows Rugrats, I'm the Chucky going, hey guys, I don't know. And then,
I love
he's over
Rugrats.
here like, we'll be
Rugrats
fine.
is, I mean, we're close to the same age, so Rugrats is like our
Yeah.
generation. Like,
Yeah.
I love Rugrats. Yeah, love Rugrats.
So, and then once I'm like, we'll be okay, and then we're good. We're always
Yeah.
good because we have it's seven of us, so it's seven
Nice.
brains that are like always like, did we think about these things? And
Nice.
yeah.
Well, tell all your co-hosts that we promote it, the live event. Tell them to watch this, share it as well, and tell them to subscribe to me as well while they're at
You
it.
heard it here. Anyone listening? Because I know everyone's going to listen because
Yeah,
we'll promote it on ours as well. Be like,
absolutely.
subscribe to Slasher Scotty. We have our, Scream Queens, our First Deaths, and our Horror Monsters listening. So,
Absolutely. I got my new shirt in from Temu.
oh, it looks so
I
good.
love it. It actually is really good. It was $5. I'm like, this is cheaper than any of the shirts I bought off Amazon. I bought five of them, spent I think like 10, $15. I bought five shirts. I'm like,
Mm.
okay, I'll take it. I mean, it's so much cheaper. Yeah, one last question I do have. It's a really important question before I get into the promoting, and it's a really, really important question. Do you sleep? Because you're so busy.
I mean, yes. How often is the question?
Right.
I definitely do sleep. I have learned from my burnout in 2023. I was like, I
Mhm.
need to focus on me. I just have dreams and goals. Like,
Yeah,
I want to be
I
on
hear it.
TV and act, and I want to be an advocate and educate, and I want a successful business, and I want $1 million contracts, and I want to be that girl. I want to be the it girl. But that doesn't happen when because someone gives it to you. That happens because we're dedicated to what we do and the
Yeah.
passion. So for me, do I sleep when I'm dead?
There you go. Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, I hear you. I mean, I was doing the podcast, I was editing because our movies have been in post production for like 2 years. And I've been doing all this, while I was in school. And I just one day I literally like collapsed, not like passed out collapsed, but like mentally collapsed. Like it was like, like and like
Mm,
broke down, just crying, like so overwhelmed. Homework, full-time job. I was teaching because that was paying my tuition, and then podcast, all this stuff going on. I mentally just broke, and I was done. I couldn't handle all of it, so I put my podcast on the side because I wanted to do the podcast as well because I love Slasher Scotty and I love doing content creation and all that stuff, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to get my movie out because people are asking, when is your movie? When is your movie coming out? So I put all that on the back burner for 2.5 years. I did a couple of interviews here and there, but not many, mostly within breaks. Like I had you on last year on one of my breaks. But it's like I was like I wanted to have you on last year for Halloween. I'm like I promised myself I wouldn't do any interviews during the semester, and I made that promise and I had to keep it because it was just so much going on and I didn't want to have that mental collapse again because I knew if I had that mental collapse I didn't know if I would recover again from that because it's just so much going on at once. So I focused all my time into teaching and into schooling and of course my full-time job. And now that I'm done, I'm trying to amp up the interviews, and it's just been
yeah.
insane.
I mean, setting your boundaries and sticking to your boundaries is what's
Hmm.
important because at the end of the day, you can always pick this podcast up. But what you
Exactly.
can't pick up is that mental break because
Yeah.
those who have been there where they've pushed themselves to a limit where they go
Hmm.
beyond burnout, that breaking point,
Yeah.
some people don't ever come back for it. That's where people
Exactly.
give up their passions and stuff. So
Hmm.
healing from that is important and
Yep.
making sure you overcome those is important. So I'm very proud of you and happy that you're able
Thank
to
you.
set those boundaries and
Yeah.
keep them. It's not
Yeah,
easy.
it wasn't easy, and you know what was the most fearful thing wasn't because I couldn't do the podcast and have the guests on the show and promote their stuff and all that stuff. It was I was the fear of when I come back, will I have lost a lot of followers? And what kept me going with it was I kept getting emails that said somebody so and so subscribed. I'm like, why are they subscribing? I'm not posting any new content, and it's because of the old content that I had that they wanted to subscribe and stay tuned. and that kept me going of like, okay, and then I put out a video. Hey everyone, just letting you know, Slasher Scotty is not done. I'm going to continue doing podcasts, but I am in graduate school. I'm going to be taking a break. I will be back during I'm on hiatus until the next break, and I'll be, doing summer and winter breaks, doing some interviews, and people just kept coming back. And now, I mean, I gained more than I lost. I mean, I think I'm at like almost 900 maybe now, which is pretty exciting. Pretty
Yes.
exciting. So yeah, I mean, I built this because I have a Gravestone Films, YouTube, and that has almost 4 grand, 4K on subscribers. And when I started Slasher Scotty up like 3 years ago or so, I mean, I started it from the ground up, literally started it from the ground up. All my interviews of the past were uploaded, and then I started doing the new ones. Then started in the video with COVID. I just built this up from the ground up, starting at nothing, and now I'm at 900 3 years later. I mean, it's slower than other people, but 2 of those 3 years, was cool.
I mean, when you look at speed, if it's never as fast as you want, I always tell people
Mhm.
maybe it doesn't need to be fast. Like growth can always be slow because it needs to be
Yeah.
rooted, right?
Slow and steady wins the race.
Sometimes if you grow too fast, your roots are shallow and they will
Yep.
pull up after it dries out.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So let's get into the last two questions. I'll just combine them because they're pretty much the same. So basically anything to promote any upcoming parades, events that you want to share with the listening viewing audience, social media sites, websites, anything at all.
So for me, you can go to juicywithjake.com to find
Mhm.
out all of the work that I do and how to get involved, even how to get in contact with me. That's Juicy with Jake. When it comes to events, I'm excited. I will be doing a show in Mount Vernon, Pennsylvania at
Okay.
the Farmhouse Theater, a Mamma Mia show with two of my besties. I also did my first one woman show there this year. It
Nice.
went well. I have to go back and critique a few things because I never thought I would be able to do a one woman show. And I
Nice.
did. That was exciting. Um, the podcast I already had mentioned, Dietrich Theater, August 3rd, Tunkhannock,
Mhm.
Pennsylvania. And I will give a special shout out because if you are a college or someone that works within a university, reach out to me because I will be
Mhm.
starting my Juicy with Jake tour. It'll be the
Nice.
fifth one. I'm super excited.
Yay!
And I officially got a sponsor from a company. I have one of my sponsors for the Juicy with Jake tour is Mr. MISTR, which is a organization that provides free prep.
Okay.
And so I'm so excited that I took a chance. They said, "Would you like to be part of this tour?" And they are sponsoring it. And so I was like, "Shut up!" So,
Awesome.
for inclusive sex education, getting great resources and material. So if you want to be part of that, holler, call, we got you. I got you.
Absolutely, and when hoping for a premiere of our next movie 72 to be in possible, we don't know where yet, so I don't want to say anything out of place, but because we're still searching around, but we're looking for fall, Octoberish, maybe September. We're looking at that time frame. Hopefully, it won't be extended, but it might be. But hopefully, you can show up and see the movie premiere. That it's a red carpet event. So that'll be a lot of fun. So hopefully you can come out. We're looking. There's a couple theaters we have in mind. It's going to be in Schuylkill County. We have a lot of locals that are in it. Obviously, a lot of local talent, and it's a really cool movie. It's pretty exciting. So definitely, if you can come out, that'll be great. I can keep you updated on that. And obviously, anybody watching this, check out juicywithjake.com and check out her tour. It's going to be exciting.
And if you want to follow me, it's Trixy Valentine, spelled Trixy.
Yeah.
Valentine, single man's holiday.
Absolutely. And I will be yeah, that'll be great. And you can follow me on Scotty McCoy, S McCoy author on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And Slasher Scotty as well. The S McCoy author is my author page, Slasher Scotty is the Slasher Scotty page. I have a new personal Facebook, because I was suspended for being a naughty boy. So I lost access to those pages in terms of my primary Facebook, but there is a loophole, and I haven't been banned on the Meta Suite, the business suite, for the I think it's the author page, or no, the Slasher Scotty page. Where I can post Slasher Scotty through there, and I can post through the author page on Instagram, and it'll go onto the Facebook itself. So I do have a loophole able to post content still, so you can still follow there. It's not going to be banished or anything. So that's good. But yeah, thank you so much, Trixie, for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Mwah, mwah.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, I just want to let everybody know that I am partnering with Highlight Me, which is an app for the iOS for my good friend Joe Ginley developed, and you can check that out on iOS platforms. It will help you with presentations with if you're doing YouTube content videos, all that stuff. Check that out because I start using that for a lot of my videos for YouTube, and it's a really helpful app that will definitely make it easier, and it highlights as you read, and it's all used through AI technology, so it knows when you're reading something and it will highlight it so you know exactly where you are and not lose your spot when you're doing scripts. So definitely check that out for anybody that uses that stuff. It's good for presentations and all that stuff, so definitely check that out. But thank you again, Trixie. It's been great to have you on. And we'll do it again next year, like always. We do it June for Pride Month, but we had something planned at the end of June, but something came up, and we decided to postpone it a month because why limit one month to something so important?
Yeah, Pride happens 365 days for some of us.
Absolutely, exactly. Well, thank you so much. You have a great rest of your night.
You too.
All right, bye.